In this video, we're going to cover everything I have learned selling AI automations in 2025. So I've been in the space just under 8 months. I've been building automations for just over 10 months, started in e-com, started building automations for my brand, and then funneled through into the AI automation space. So I do feel I've got a decent leg to stand on. I am still very new into the space, but for the last 4 or 5 months, I've been doing high 6-figure months. So I feel like I've got a great understanding of it. So what I have done, I've made a list, I think, of 10 or 11 different key learnings and lessons that I've really benefited from in 2025. So let's get straight into it. Number one is the intelligence gap. Okay, this is an interesting word for it, but it is essentially being a translator. Okay, businesses think that you need a PhD level in computer science or whatever the heart desires is to implement AI into their business. That's not true. You can quite literally have zero knowledge of automations at all, but if you know how to translate those automations into solved problems for the business, the world is your oyster. And that is, I think, a key takeaway that I have learned. When I go into a meeting, I try and simplify everything down, literally like you're speaking to a 5-year-old. Because when they start understanding what your automation is doing or what you're going to do for them, it becomes much easier to sell. If you start going and getting in-depth in HTTPS requests, we're going to do this and this, they start getting scared and like, oh my word, I'm not going to know how to work this thing. But if you say, oh yeah, you just need to click this button and you'll get more customers, they'll be all for it. So the intelligence gap is essentially just being a translator. And it's the exact same thing people say for like lawyers. They need to know how to speak to like a 5-year-old. Because you can't say, oh, we need to go and get you to sign this GDPR compliance form, because people will be like, what is that? So essentially simplify everything down, get people understanding your points and what you're going to do for them, and you'll be good. Okay. Number 2, stop selling automations, sell amplifications. Okay. And what this means is stop selling the idea of we're going to fire your workforce, or we can let off some of your workforce and replace it with an automation. No. People do not want that. People bring on other people because they know they're valuable and they know their worth. So for example, I've been using Tinky Winky in my tweets a lot. Okay. For example, business brings on Tinky Winky for sales. Okay. They brought Tinky Winky on for a specific reason of sales because he was good at sales. But now Tinky Winky is sitting there scrolling through emails the entire day and can't use his sales skills in terms of either closing or just outreach or whatever his skills are. Okay. You cannot go to a business and say, hey, we will get Tinky Winky completely gone with this AI automation. People don't like that. People like people. People like having people in their business. And if you can say, hey, we're going to get Tinky Winky to that level, if not at a higher level, to work with the skills that you hired him for, that's a pitch right there. Employees are going to jump on that. They're going to love that because you're essentially going to amplify their workforce. You're not going to cut anyone else. You're not cutting anyone else. You're amplifying them to get them working at that desired level that the employee brought them on for. Okay. So you're essentially, instead of your pitch being, we're going to fire your workforce, it's going to be, we're going to create your workforce into superhumans. They are going to be running at the level that you want them to, if not succeeding or exceeding that, because they're not sitting here writing emails for 3 hours a day. Okay. Hope that makes sense. I don't have great wording for, I think this is number 3. And essentially this is the constraint has shifted. And what I mean by that is 3 months ago, it used to be delivery constraint, but now it is sales constraint. And what I mean by this is AI has developed at such a quick rate. For example, Cinta, you can quite literally build workflows within a few hours. Okay, so that's changed this constraint to being able to implement workflows, let's say everyone still pitches 3 weeks. At our agency, we quite literally pitch a few days. We try to get an MVP out as fast as possible to the client to test around. And then the benefit of that is there's no waiting. There's no like, oh, let me think about it because it's going to take so long to implement. It will get implemented into the business within a few days. They play around with it. They understand it. They see what some of the issues are with it in terms of where we need to better it, where we need to change it. And instead of being essentially the whole thing is being delivery constraint, it is now selling constraint because you can't get these workflows out so incredibly fast. It's switching to being selling constraint. So agencies now are focused more on getting more clients than on deliverability. And the benefit of this is it gets to the point where you need to start picking the right clients for you. Okay. So I'm getting to the point where I'm turning down clients because I know they're just going to be a pain in the ass and they're going to be taking away a lot of my energy and work from other clients or new clients because they are just being a pain. Okay, so the benefit of this is You don't need to worry about building because it can be done so quickly, and you need to start worrying about selling. So in our later points, we're going to get onto sell first, build later. And that is going to be the key concept, I think, of these learnings. And this is the key benefit from the constraint switch. I hope this makes sense. Quite a few different weird words in this part or this lesson. Number 4 is boring niches print. Okay, these boring niches, people love speaking about them, but they don't actually practice what they preach. These boring niches go crazy. Okay, the benefit of it is A, they've got a lot of money. These boring niches print cash. Okay, so they've got money to spend on your automations, and B, they are so easy to automate, and there's just no competition in there. Okay, I'm talking like private equity firms, law firms, accountants, recruiting agencies. These businesses have such simple backends, so easy to automate, and they've got the funds to pay for it. For example, the last 2-3 months, I think I've worked with 6 private equity firms, and 4 out of the 6 workflows we've implemented for them have been quite literally the exact same with minor detail changes. They have such simple linear processes that are just screaming for automation. Okay, yes, they're not the sexiest things to get involved in, but they print cash. And as I said, there's no competition. And the key benefit behind them is referrals go crazy. Okay, I brought on 2 PE firms, quite literally maybe a week or 2 apart. And from that, the rest have been referrals. They are a very tight-knit community, if you can say that. And it's very simple to get a good word out about your agency through it. Their automations are very simple. Okay, it's quite literally very linear, very simple, very easy task that you can quite literally, as I said, from the delivery constraint to sales constraint, you can get it done probably in a few hours and close them for probably 15 to 20K. So take that in. Go for the boring niches. Okay. Number 5, it kind of ties into the boring niches. Go sell to people with deep pockets. There is no point trying to sell the best automation in the world to people that do not have money. Okay. So this is why these larger firms are so beneficial to essentially target, because they've got the funds to pay for it. You cannot go to someone or like a new, very cool, essentially e-com brand or SaaS founder that you're like, oh, this is such a cool, sexy niche. They don't have funds. They're going to be breathing down your neck the whole time, because you can start doing some like basic calculations with it. If you go and charge 3K to someone that's only making 10K, that's 30% of their, or 33% of their income. It's a much higher percentage that they need to worry about. If you go and sell a 10K automation to someone doing 100K, it's only 10% of that, their income. It's not much of their worry. Hope that makes sense, but that is essentially it. These bigger pocket niches are just the way to go. So you can quite literally just, in the UK, most of the information is public, so you can just search their revenue, income, and their profits. And to be honest, even the listings, or like the public listed companies, these huge firms, you may be like a bit scared to go and speak to them, but they've got the funds and they're always willing to take on AI. All these businesses know they need to use AI. You just need to be the person that hops in front of them and tells them how to implement it. Okay. This is one, I think, this is one I love. Okay. Specialists are eating up generalists. Everyone tells you when you're starting up, go general and go broad. Okay. The benefit of going broad is you don't need to focus on such a limited TAM, so total addressable market. You can go and quite literally speak to anyone and just try get clients. The benefit of being a generalist is you essentially have a larger market to target. Okay. Why I hate generalists is because the thing is they are targeting everyone and they're essentially learning nothing. Why I love specialists and why I think it's a whole thing I preach within my school community. Go specialist. Okay. The benefit of this is the whole thing we teach is learning businesses. Okay. Learning how businesses operate. And this is what's going to be the key feature going forward, or like your key, benefit going forward with how quickly AI is adapting and building and growing. If you understand business operations, you will be better than anyone that understands AI. Okay. Because you will understand the small and key things that need to be fixed that people that understand AI and more business on a general level will not. For example, with the PE firms, I understand a good level at how their backend systems work. So I can go into any PE firm or any firm essentially within that niche, you can say, and pick up on that specific issue. And on the call, I can say, hey, I know that most PE firms have this problem. Do you? They'll be like, yes, I do. And then they feel like you understand their problem better than them. if that makes sense. And that's the thing that you will never get with a generalist, because you're just jumping between so many different niches. You don't get a deep understanding of one. I hope that makes sense. So specialist over generalist any day of the week. This I will quite literally live by. I'll probably get a tattoo on my forehead of this. Sell first, build later. Okay. Everyone in this n8n space teaches it to you the other way. Build, learn n8n for 2-3 months, get cracked at n8n, and then go and sell your skills. No, that is the stupidest thing ever, because you could get to the point where you've learned n8n, all these skills, AI maybe develops too fast and it takes your skills away just like so. But the benefit of selling and then learning is you're quite literally getting paid to learn. Okay, so you go, you find a client, they pay you, and you say, okay, now let's figure out how to build this automation for them. Okay, you go and you're quite literally getting paid to learn these automations. The key benefit of learning on the job or selling before you learn is you learn key skills that you'll only be learning for clients. You're not learning generic skills. You're learning quite literally valuable skills that you can go and implement into the next client. Okay. So instead of learning HTTPS requests or like specific API calls, you're going to learn HTTPS specifically for a specialized niche and API calls that you know are going to be needed for said niche. I hope that makes sense, but that's essentially the shtick. Sell first, build later. Get paid to learn. Okay, I think this is number 8 or something, but essentially this can tie back into one of the earlier points. Clients pay to stop thinking about problems. It's that simple. If you can hop on a call, I think it was point 1, when you go and translate it, the intelligence gap, if you can go and translate your automation to them in quite very simple English, or how you're going to fix that problem, and you tell them you're paying to essentially get this problem completely disappeared. You're never going to have to worry about this problem ever again. Whether that being the PE firm, I've just always come back to that just because it's so like front of mind right now. I just got off a call with one of them. If it's one of the PE firm guys or whatever, and you know that emailing sequencing is such a pain and they know it's a pain, if you go and say, okay, I'm going to do this automation for you, or not even automation, I'm going to get your team never worrying about emails ever again. That is quite literally the pitch of dreams. There's 2 pitches you can go. You can either go, I'm going to make you money, or I'm going to save you immense amount of time. That essentially equates to making you more money. So I hope that makes sense, but essentially clients pay to never think about a problem ever again. It is that simple. So this one I think will only really affect you when you get higher up into your agency, or like further into the journey of your agency. But what I realized recently is charge for discovery calls. The benefit of this is because the client is much more qualified getting onto that call with you. And then they also realize that your time is actually very valuable because they're paying for it. Okay. And the key benefit of that is they're coming, they're going to be much more qualified, they're going to be much more eager to go forward with you because they've already spent that initial investment. I don't know how you could possibly tie this up into, I don't know, an earlier point, or if you're earlier on into your agency journey. I probably wouldn't say charge for discovery calls at the beginning. But what you could do is, I don't know, charge for a simple demo or something like that. So if you have an n8n template that you have created, you're using yourself, and you want to go and sell that template, personally, I wouldn't recommend it, because it's always better to go and specifically implement automations into a business for their key problems. But if you got a template and you know it can work somewhere, possibly like, I don't know, a receptionist or something like that, I don't recommend that. But I mean, just for an example, if you have a template and you can quite literally very simply and easily get someone to use it and test it out, maybe charge for a demo or something like that. But the benefit of charging, or having that idea of charging for a discovery call, shows that your time is much more valuable, as well as much more qualified people get in on that call. And this is essentially tying everything. This is essentially human skills compound while AI gets more commoditized, if that makes sense. So essentially, Claude, all these AIs, Cinta, are developing at such a fast rate, your n8n skills are going to depreciate essentially by the day. So the key lessons, as I spoke about earlier, is understanding those business processes. If you can hop on a call and say to someone, Ayo, I see that this is how you operate your business. Here are some key issues. I mean, Tinky Winky's not making as much money as he should be, and he's not even using his skills that you hired him for. Okay. If you can get to the point where you understand those business operations and where those very simple fixes are that can save a business a shit ton of time, which is essentially also a shit ton of money, your world is going to be, the world's going to be your oyster, essentially. So, and the benefit of that is going long term, you're going to have a solid understanding of how businesses operate, which you can essentially go and monetize. You can go down into a consulting route when AI gets so easy and so accessible. You can become essentially an AI consultant, that you come into a business, understand how they operate, and you pick out key areas. And you're like, okay, your sales are shit, your emailing system is quite literally horrible, your backend is the most disgusting thing I've seen in my life. Go and use this AI or something and literally go type plain English and understand how to fix those problems. I hope that makes sense. That was a bit of like a little random tangent I just went off. But essentially, as AI gets more commoditized, your skills and understanding of business operations become more important. So, and that essentially ties in directly into learning before you build, because you're going to be learning those business operation skills to better your automation learning, essentially, or essentially bettering your automation builds because you understand those business operations better. So those are essentially my key findings from 2025. I mean, there are definitely some I left off on the list, but when I do remember them and I get back to them, I'll make another video just for those. We go into much more depth on my school community. We help you essentially build, learn, and scale your automation agency. If you've even got a business or a brand that you want to know how to implement AI, you can hit the link below and apply, and we'll help you out with that. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you gained some value from this. I really actually enjoyed creating this list. It's been sitting here on my book for the last 3-4 months. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible rest of your day.